Well, thank you so much for joining us on Let the Healing Begin podcast. I'm your host, Asia, and today we have Rick Koenig on with us. How are you doing, Rick?
I'm doing great, Asia. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Look fantastic.
Oh, thank you. So where are you from, Rick?
Originally from South Philly. Originally grew up on a city block. I don't know, you had about 75 homes. I don't know if too many, I know you are, but a lot of people aren't, especially here in the Midwest. You got a city block of about 75 homes, and they're all connected all the way around. So I could walk out my front door, we call it a stoop. You walk down 2 steps, and I was hanging out with 30 to 50 friends. You know what I mean? So it was a tight-knit community. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, and just like I said, yeah, that's where it kicked off. And then I moved into South Jersey, right over the bridge, 10 minutes away into Camden, New Jersey. And we lived there for about 2-3 years. And then I basically grew up as a kid in Pennsauken. So South Jersey.
Okay. Which one would you say you like the most?
Man, they were all fun. I mean, I went back to Philly a lot. I went back to Philly a lot as an adult. That's where I did the most of my security jobs. Nightclubs were just a little different than they were in Jersey. Just different rules, different players in the game. Growing up, though, I would say I like Pennsauken. Pennsauken was cool. I mean, we had a cool community. We really did. My graduating year, I had 3 of my classmates. They won pro in football. And Tom McNair, he played for the Chiefs for 9 years. Greg Mark played for Miami, and David Griggs played for the Broncos. So we had, I grew up, you look back at it now and things that you do, and you think it's normal. Mm-hmm. But you look back at them, and I kind of grew up in a rough area. You know what I mean? And just rough being I would just say just the environment. That's all. That's it. Nothing crazy. Nothing too crazy. Not like today. Today's crazy.
Man, it's today. Like the generation growing up today, it's completely different. It's completely different.
It's a mindset. They don't realize the consequences, and they wind up doing stuff, not realizing what the consequences are going to be, and the next thing you know, they wind up in the pen doing the rest of their life in there, and that's not a way of life, man. I experienced myself. I was in juvenile detention center numerous times as a kid. Didn't learn my lesson, went back as an adult, but at the same point in time, a different era. So again, I don't recommend prison life to anybody.
Yeah. So let's go back to your childhood. Do you have siblings? Were you raised with mom and dad? How did that go?
Yeah, actually I had two half sisters. My mother met my father in a diner. He was a cook. She was a waitress. So they got married, had me. So I had a sister, Jackie, that was 10 years older than me. And then my sister Kathy, 15 years older than me. So I was somewhat of an only child, you know what I mean? Because I was my father's, actually I was my father's second son. But with my mom, I was his first.
Okay. Now let me go back and ask you this. I know you said you grew up in a rough area. How did that shape you today?
I would say it hardened me a little bit. It hardened me, but I don't have any regrets. I don't. It grew me for life. Mm-hmm. And life, man, if you walk through life with your chin high and your hands down, man, you're gonna get your clock clean, man. It's how it is. So it always made me aware and prepared. So if anything was about to pop off, I'm always ready. Now, some people probably think that's an odd way of living, but I would always want to be that way, because in today's society, you never know what's going to pop off. You really don't. So I like to stay ahead of the curve at all times.
Absolutely. It's better to be ready than to have to get ready, right?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. No doubt. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Growing up, would you say you were closer to your mom or your dad?
Definitely to my mother. My mom was, I don't want to say I was a mommy's boy, but, mom basically, she was the one that was at home, even though she worked. my father had restaurants and he had pizzerias. So he was working 24/7, just keeping everything together. And just, my father was a great provider. He really was. Great man. Me and him, again, as I got older, we gained our connection. But as a kid, he was working. That was it. He was providing for the family. And that's all he knew how to do was work. So, he was an orphan back in the 30s. 1933, he was born. And his father, his mother bounced. And his father put him into an orphanage when he was 1 year of age. So he was 1, his brother was 2. So he was raised by nuns until he was 16. And we're going back in the Great Depression and all that. So, the man, all he knew how to do was work. That was it. That was a way of life, man. And, he was somebody that never told me he loved me, but I knew he loved me. That was it, and he was my best friend as we got older. But growing up, mom was around. Mom was the one. And, she went through maybe a midlife crisis or menopause or something. But then she wound up kicking rocks when I was 15 to Florida. No explanation, no nothing. Just bounced. Like, where did mom go? You know what I mean? And Pop was working. So I was in my crib alone at the age of 15. And, my sisters were older and everything like that. So, I mean, it was weird. You know what I mean? It was weird. Again, it was a good learning experience. But, at that time, I was bouncing I was in Jonesboro, I was in Yardville, and these are juvenile detention centers. So, like I said, I mean, it was more party time than anything for me.
Yeah.
I mean, people knew to come over to my house because Pop was working at, 1 o'clock in the morning, and we had the house. So, I mean, it was just, growing back, man, we had a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, I know, because society says that, men, teach their boys, different things. Like, growing up with your dad always working, would you ever, feel any resentment? Because, you knew he was at work, would you ever feel any type of resentment because he was absent?
Absolutely not.
That's good.
Absolutely not. No, he did the best he knew how to do.
Yeah.
And, you're looking at, I grew up in the 70s and things of that nature. And, even with me, with my kids, things are a lot different now. I mean, you have social media, you have, the internet, YouTube and everything, where people are getting more educated to things these days on parenting and things of that nature. And, even with me and my kids, man, I look back at it and they say, how do you look at yourself as a father? And then basically I said, I did the best I could do. I didn't really have any real grooming. I mean, I was showed a lot of love, by my mother and my father in certain ways, but there was no blueprint. There was no blueprint. This is the way you do this, that, or the other thing. You just, you kept the family together and you did the best that you could do. And all I knew how to do was provide. Yeah. So I kind of followed my father's footsteps in that aspect. So in essence, it wasn't a bad thing because I knew I had to get out there, and I was the one that had to wear the pants in the family. And again, I'm not discrediting women whatsoever. My wife at the time had the opportunity of I put her through hairstyling school 2 times, and she had the opportunity to work, but I wanted her to be home with the kids. Mm-hmm. Because when it all came down to it, after you pay for daycare, clothes, food, vehicle, I mean, how much money are you really making if you're not college educated? What, you're making an extra $5 to $10?
Right.
I'd rather her be home with the kids. You know what I mean? And man, I tell you what, I give women all the credit in the world, especially you single mothers that are out there and raising those kids. Man, that's a tough job, man. Wow. I'll work 10 jobs. I won't switch spots, man. I'm telling you, man. And, I tell guys that all the time. I said, listen, guys, I know when you first got with your lady, you told you would die for her. Mm-hmm. But then when you get home from working 10 hours, okay, and maybe it's 10 o'clock at night, and there's dishes, up to the rim of the sink, and you're wondering what the heck is she doing all day as there's 2 or 3 kids, not realizing what she's going through. And then she asks you to go out and get a package of diapers, and you freak out. Like, why couldn't you do that? Well, guess what, man? You said you would die for her, and you can't go out at 10 o'clock and get a package of diapers.
Right.
I mean, come on, son. Let's keep it real.
Yeah. And you know what? People don't realize like how much of a handful of kids like are. I only have one child, and I'm like, whoa, I don't know how people do it with 5 and 6 kids, especially like single moms, you know?
That's like I said, my hat goes off to all those mothers out there, single and together and whatever, man. That's triple time. That really is, man. That is a tough job. That's a tough job.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Like, I know you mentioned that you were like in and out of juvenile. What was the circumstances behind that?
Violence. A lot of violence. Yeah. I fought a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I fought every day. I mean, and that's how it was. You know, I mean, fortunately and unfortunately on my end, it usually wound up bad for the other person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So when you're crippling somebody, there's consequences behind it. You know, when they're going to hospital, it's, you know, and then when they start seeing a pattern, and it's not just one or two times, you're looking at, you know, dozens of times. Finally, the judge is going to get sick of looking at your face, man, and he's going to say, well, okay, we tried this, that, or the other thing. And there wasn't really many options back then. Mm-hmm. It was just like, you went to juvie. That's it. And that was where I went to, was gladiator school. Yeah. I mean, as soon as you got off that bus, you were banging. That was it. You had to decipher the pecking order right away, or it was getting deciphered. One or the other. You know what I mean? You earned your seat at the table. You earned your bunk. You earned your spot. Bottom line. And it was on a daily basis that you had to prove it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, juvie was rougher than state as an adult. Mm-hmm. Juvie was rougher for me as a kid than it was as an adult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Let's say we have a listener that grew up like you mentioned that you didn't have a blueprint for like parenting. What would you say to that listener?
Man, today's day and age, I tell everybody all the time, you know, everybody has a cell phone. I mean, I see panhandlers out on the street here in Branson with the newest iPhone. You know what I mean? And anybody can get on the YouTube. Get on the YouTube, get on a podcast, get somebody that you mesh with. Mm-hmm. You know, somebody that's positive. I mean, there's a lot of negativity out there and a lot of negative stuff. But like, I'll give you an example. Like my coach, Wes Watson, you know, he got me through some really, really rough times recently, you know, over the last couple of years where, you know, I would just put my earbuds in and just, you know, go for a walk and listen to some of his motivational speeches, his podcast, and it uplifted me. It made me feel better. And today's day and age, you know, you don't have to go out and seek and travel hundreds or thousands of miles to find that person, to go to that seminar or read a book. You can go right on your phone. But at the same point in time, like I said, they can Google whatever they want. Just make sure it's positive. Yeah. You know, I mean, listen, I love gangster rap. I grew up listening to NWA. You know, Dre was my man. You know, back when it was Run DMC. You know, it was all New York based. Yeah. And again, good music. But sometimes that message can get into their head. That message can get into their head. And, you know, they got to understand, man, these people are getting paid to say what they say. And they're getting paid a lot of money. They're not out there, you know, they're not in jail, you know, so watch what you listen to, because a lot of times that can definitely reflect on your actions.
You know, and that's so true. Like now I don't listen to secular music. I used to, but like I try to explain that to my son, like, you know, as far as movies and TVs go, I try to explain to him, like, these people are getting paid to do what they do, you know, this is not real life. It may look and seem and portray to be real, but I'm like, honey, these people are actors, you know, and they get paid to act this way. And, you know, this stuff is not real, you know, because, you know, all the stuff that is like shown in the media, music, YouTube, videos, you know, like that stuff gets down into our subconscious mind. And it really changes the way of like who we are and what we are, you know?
No doubt. Even as an adult. You know, I mean, if I want to get pumped up and I want to throw on some Dre or some NWA or something like that, or some 50, I love 50 Cent, man. It's like, you know, those emotions come up. I know how to control it, though, as an adult. You know, but you're looking at a teenage kid, man. I mean, I can't even imagine when you know, the hormones are changing, especially young males. Testosterone's starting to kick in, and
Yeah.
They know somebody that has a gun, and next thing you know, they're, man, you nailed it on the head. They get paid to say that. And even the ones that went through it, like, 50 went through it. He did, man. But look at him now.
Yeah.
I mean, that man is a billionaire. He turned that into a $1 billion business, I mean, so they knew it was time to get out of the game, and the majority of them don't. A lot of them wind up dead or they're in jail. So again, that's a short-lived career if you're going to go about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting paid for it, why are you going to do it?
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, crazy.
So, like, with being in and out of juvenile, did you finish like high school and stuff, or what was that like for you?
No, I did. Yeah. No, I graduated from Pennsauken High. Like I said, when I went to juvie, I was 13 until about 15. Got out like I was about 15, 16, and it didn't end there. I wound up, my history teacher kind of got into my face, and he just got into my space, and not only my face, in my space. He didn't almost make it, so I had to go back again. And I was fortunate; it was only 6 more months, and that was just county time at the time. So I spent 6 months in the county, and when I came out, my parents were like, we're done with this, man. Like, we're not going to send you to private school. You're not allowed to go back to Pennsauken, so we're sending you to Camden High. Well, when I tell you, I was the only white kid in the whole school. That was it. The closest white kid to me was a kid named Ephraim, and he was Spanish. But that was, I mean, like I said, I mean, I grew up basically, in a black neighborhood. You know what I mean? And they were my people. That was it. We got along great. I had no problems in Camden High. Yeah. And I was very fortunate that I was able to get back to Pennsauken because they wanted me to play football because, I was good at football and things of that nature. And I had the opportunity of getting a scholarship. So when I got back, I didn't go. They're like, well, that was the reason. I said, well, I'm back. They're like, well, why don't you want to play? I'm like, well, because my Uncle Vito is opening up a martial arts school for me. And I'm going to be a millionaire doing martial arts because I've been doing martial arts since I was 4. And, not to realize that he was a bookie. You know what I mean? So he was running numbers and laundering money, and he wound up getting hemmed up. And that's when the school closed. The school shut down. I lost, like I said, 3-1 pro. And I'm still looking for my $1 million. You know what I mean? So It wasn't God's will. It wasn't God's will. I mean, I look back at it, I mean, I was bitter as a kid, but at the same point in time, anything could have happened. Back then, I had 9 confirmed concussions prior to graduating. 9. Now I believe it's a 3 rule strikeout. Like, if you get 3 concussions, you're out. That's it. Yeah. So I had 9 confirmed prior to graduating. I have TBI now, which is called it's traumatic brain injury. And I believe between that and MMA, probably because of, again, I know I've had numerous concussions afterwards as well. It pays a toll on you. It really does. And I can see the consequences hitting me now as I'm getting older. Like I said, I'm 55. I won't take the medicine. I don't really believe in meds. I'm not that cat, man. I don't believe in big pharma and what they want to push on us. And, it's just, listen, man, for anybody who believes in it, man, that's great. It's like religion. I don't push religion. I have my own beliefs. You have your own beliefs. I'm cool with it. Politics, same way. Just let's keep that off our table.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Certain things I just try to stay away from.
And you know what? That's the best way to go. Like, it's really good that you have like your own like values and morals established, but you also like, give people room, respect for theirs too. Because some people are like so sold out on their own beliefs, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they don't know how to respect, other people's beliefs and stuff like that.
They want to push it on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, yo, man, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
You don't hear me coming at you that way, so I respect you. You respect me.
Absolutely.
And if we can't come to a happy medium on that, then peace. I'm out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Let me ask you something else. So, like, in today's society, there's like this big race war, right? It's a lot of like racial things, right?
Man, and you know what? I stay away from the media as much as possible. So go
Yeah.
ahead, elaborate.
No, I was just gonna ask you, like, as someone that's not a black individual, like having close interaction with people, like, would you speak to like the listeners that may do get wrapped up in society, and fall into like the whole racial thing, and just like your experiences and your whys on, how you can be
And it's funny that you say that because, like I said, it's something that's been around for a long time and it's probably not going to go away anytime soon. But, you got to get to know the person before you pass any type of judgment. And that's everybody is going to prejudge everybody. Bottom line, and I talk to a lot of my homies that, I'm blasted, head to toe, face is blasted. Yeah, I used to wear the gold, the bling, the whole 9 yards, pumping the music, you know what I mean? Well, let me tell you something. That cop that's rolling up to my window, he's prejudging me just as much as he's prejudging that black person behind the wheel. We chose to look the way we chose. Mm-hmm. So we got to let that cop know that we're not that person he thinks we are. That's what it comes down to. Bottom line, man. Now, I can't put myself in another man's shoes. You know what I mean? And I can't imagine. But like I said, I know I'm discriminated against because when I moved out here to the Midwest, totally blasted, I moved to the Bible Belt. I mean, this is like redneck hillbilly country, and they're looking at me like, whoa, where did this cat come from? And I think the only reason I kind of gelled is because of martial arts. You know what I mean? I was training everybody. So I was able to establish, something in the community, something that they needed. And they got to know me. They got to know Rick Koenig. You know what I mean? And that's what it comes down to, man. It's like there's so much hate out there and there's so much prejudice and there's, just life in general itself can just nag you out. But you got that choice every morning to wake up with a positive mental attitude. And that's with everything in life. And just before you say something or do something, think of the consequences. And I learned that the hard way. And that's why I say to people, I could tell you this all day and I can preach it, but you're probably not listening to me. You might hear me, but you're not listening because you're going to go out and do it anyway. And you're going to learn the hard way. But hopefully it resonates and you can listen a little bit because again, the world would be just much better if people get along. And again, with the media, man, I can't watch it because I think they gear everybody to be against each other. I really do. I mean, you see it, man, and it disgusts me because, like I said, growing up, my best friends were black and Puerto Ricans, you know what I mean? And whites and Asians. We're all one. Yep. People don't realize that. Culturally, we are one, just with different habits and routines. That's it. And even when I was in sales, I would talk to somebody from Italy. I would talk to somebody from, let's say, China. I would talk to somebody from London. I would talk to somebody from California. And everybody would have the same objection. Everybody would have the same, it's just psychology. So that just shows you in some aspect that we are all one collectively. So we got to just learn how to just get along.
I was just
as much as possible, man. And get that hate. Yeah. Hate in your heart, man. God doesn't like ugly. And I don't care who you pray to. As long as you realize you have a higher power, you're doing well. And understand that. I'm not going to preach anything besides just know you have a higher power. And, whomever your God may be, mine's Jesus Christ, okay? But whomever your God may be, realize your God does not like ugly. And karma's real. Yeah. And I know karma's real. I call it karma day. Because as much as you put out there and as much dirt as you do, in one way, shape, or form, you are going to pay that off. And it might be years. It might be decades, all depending on what you did. But you will pay that off eventually.
And you know what? Some people fail to realize that not only will you pay for like your actions, but also those that are close to you, like your children, your loved ones, your family, your friends, like the people that mean the most to you, sometimes our repercussions fall back on them too, and that goes to show you, like, growing up, my mom would always say, like, watch who you're around, because it could be the wrong place, wrong time, or you could reap what somebody else has sown, just for, being like guilty by association.
I got a saying, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Mm.
Guy named Dan Pena. I mean, he's an old grumpy man. He's I think he's Mexican descent. Here in America, though, has a castle in London. I mean, he's hardcore. I mean, Dan doesn't put up with anything.
Yeah.
But it's one of his sayings that resonated. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
That's good.
It's great. I mean, check him out. I mean, he's raw. He's raw, but I mean, Dan has to be close to 80 years old. And, he said something that really resonated with me as well. It's like with you, Asia, you're making a mark on life right now. Like, this is history right here. This is something 100 years from now, somebody's going to pick up and watch and say, wow, I mean, this is the movie right here, okay? And you're doing great things. You're doing excellent things, and I commend you on that. But he said, the castle that I'm living in right now, I couldn't tell you the man who lived in it in the beginning. But obviously, he must have been a very wealthy person at that point in time, had a lot of money in London, but it's still, I couldn't tell you who he was. So again, our time that I believe on this earth is limited. So we have to make as much impact as we can to just spread the message, spread the word, and be as positive as possible. Because again, negativity is only going to give you negative. That's it. All the time. I tell people, you can never negate a negative thought with a positive thought. You can only negate a negative thought with a positive action. Get out there, talk to people, spread some love. You know what I mean? Show some love. Help somebody out. I don't care if it's walking a dog, doing the dishes, lifting weights. Something positive is going to help get rid of that negativity. So, I mean, there's a lot of positive stuff you can do. Like, I love to go, to different hospital and institutions and talk to the young guys because I can resonate with them. You know what I mean? I've been through it. They're not just going to listen to Mr. Rogers up there, like, because I learned from a book and I went to, Rutgers or Harvard or, you know what, bro? You didn't go through the trials and tribulations. So how do you think you're going to resonate with that cat in front of you right there, man? You're not. You haven't been through it. I mean, I'm not going to listen to you.
At all.
You had to go through it for me to listen to you. And it's the same thing with these doctors and these attorneys and, people are getting involved in industries that they don't need to be involved in, especially teachers. I mean, if you want to be caring, care about what you're doing. If you want to be a doctor or a nurse, care for people. Don't do it for the paycheck. Do it for the passion.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're doing it for the passion, like the money isn't even a factor,
Absolutely.
That takes me back to this memory that I have from when I was incarcerated. Like when I was incarcerated, I was just taking all the classes that I could, just to give myself something to do so I could get out that cell. Yeah. And I enrolled in a parenting class, right? And I only went, I think, 1 or 2 times because the instructor that they had in there, like, wasn't even a parent, like, didn't even have any children. And, the way she was just talking to us about, like, me, for an example, she told me I was too passionate about my child. And I'm like, do you even, coming from someone teaching the class,
how can you be too passionate?
This passion comes from someone that's only, experienced being a parent, Right. And I'm just like, it's the lived experiences is what lowers those boundaries and, crosses out those barriers, because I don't want to take advice from someone who hasn't lived what they're teaching, Like,
they don't have a right to be in that position.
Exactly.
They didn't earn to sit at my table. Bottom line. And again, man, there's really no blueprint out there. There really isn't, because everybody's situation is different. I mean, I'll give you an example, and I kind of went through the same experience. One of my mentors, Rickson Gracie, one of the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu martial artists in the world, okay? Lived in Brazil. His oldest son, Rickson Gracie, passed away from an overdose, such as my son. My son did the same. And same thing, grew up on the mats, you know what I mean? Had a great family around them. Had a great support system. But there's only so much things that we can control. And in my opinion, with me losing my oldest son, he outgrew this world here. And God had bigger plans for him somewhere else. And that kind of helped me cope with it a little easier because of, like I said, you have to have some type of spiritual beliefs. You don't have to, but it helped me. I can't tell you what you need to do. I can only tell people what helped me. Bottom line. You know what I mean? I mean, we all got a message. I think everybody should tell theirs. And then it's up to that other individual to make the educated decision if it works for them or not.
Absolutely. Excuse me. And you know what? It is that spiritual relationship with God that like soothes that pain, because he can heal us in places and spaces that no one else can,
Absolutely. No doubt.
So let's go back to, you mentioned your son. So how old were you when you became a dad?
I was 27.
Okay. And so I know you mentioned that your son had overdosed. Like, what was that period like in your life?
Well, when we moved out here, when he was still back in Jersey, I know he was dabbling. You know what I mean? Like, he was always my best friend. And people always try to say, too, again, they want to give you parenting advice. You got to draw that line of being a parent and being a best friend. And I agree to a certain extent, all right? But he was my best friend. And again, I dropped the hammer on him if I knew he was doing something wrong. I was that father. I mean, you said something wrong to your mother, I put blood in your mouth. You know what I mean? That was it. I mean, nowadays, you can't do any of that. And again, man, whatever. And I'll probably get ridiculed for saying that. But at the same point in time, I knew he was kind of messing up, but he was young. And when we moved out here, he was 15. You got to look at, man, it took him 2 minutes to hang out with 10 friends to somewhere that took him 2 hours to hang out with 2 friends. So it was a culture shock for him as well. Me at the age of 42, I could handle it a little easier. With him being 15, man, that was tough, and being a big kid, when he passed, he was 6'6", 257. Solid, man. I mean, and he grew up in the mess. He knew how to fight. So the older kids around here, I mean, when I moved out here, they were soft. I mean, really, from where we came from, they talked a big game until it was time to do something. And all of a sudden, their true character came out. And again, my son knew how to decipher the pecking order, and he did it quick. So all the older kids navigated to him, which, him being 15, hanging out with kids that are 19, 20, and 21, they're getting into drugs. I thought I was moving into Mayberry because we used to come out here. It's a tourist town. Branson, Missouri is actually ranked in the top 5 tourist attractions in the United States. So, I mean, it shows you we go from 10,000 people to a population of over 10 to 20 million when we're busy. Okay. So we moved out here in the wintertime when it's like nothing going on. Well, obviously he found some wrong things to get himself involved in. And I was watching it. And so I intervened. And at the same point in time, I got him into training more with weights. I said, no, this is what we're doing. We're training. And, at that time, testosterone's kicking in and he's starting to grow and he started to love his appearance and he's starting to get different type of attention. So he fell in love with the weights and he loved always training. But he still had that dark side to him, okay? And like I said, I knew, and he would go missing for a week, 2 weeks. And, I tell his mother, man, he'll be all right. He's a big kid. He can hold his own. And, a mother being a mother, obviously, they're going to freak out. And I'm telling him, I think everything will be all right. And he would come back, and really, I didn't even know what meth was, honestly, until I moved out here. And then I realized, again, Mayberry is not Mayberry. You know what I mean? There's drugs everywhere, and there is a huge meth population out here. And that's what he got into. It wasn't cocaine, heroin, it was meth. Easiest thing to make. You know what I mean? They do shake and bake, this, that, and the whole nine. And so I don't want to say I was preparing myself, but, I've seen it happen time and time again. And you never want to think as a parent it's going to happen to you. But I'm a realist as well. And I can watch how things are going. And I told him that. I said, listen, Dave, I said, on the route you're going in, man, this is going to end up in 1 or 2 different ways, man. You're either going to wind up passing away or you're going to be in prison. So when COVID hit, he went missing. And, everything shut down. So if there was a crime to be made, that was the perfect time. Because cops weren't pulling people over. You know what I mean? Places were shut down. And he was missing. And when it got to about 3-4 weeks and he didn't contact me because, again, he was my best friend. You know, he would call me for something, or, you know, he would need something, or he would just say, yo, Pops, I'm all right. You know, I did something, you know, I had to bounce. Whatever the case may be, I would know first and foremost. Nothing. It just went silent. And for 2 years, I heard every horrific story there was that happened to him. Because, again, he was an enforcer. He was doing things. I mean, you know, he was out there doing dirt. And people were trying to get street credibility for his disappearance. And I'm like, don't they know who his father is? Like, they're about to find out real quick. And in 2 years, man, a lot of people found out real quick. And, you know, I did my research and, you know, trained in law enforcement. They were on the scene looking. There were searches. There was this, that, and everything going on. And, you know, I had a few suspects. I really did. And honestly, if they didn't find his remains when they did, there would have probably been a good chance that I would have been back in prison. All right. And at any rate, so when they finally found his remains, there was a gentleman, and he's a good dude. I had to do my research on him as well. He was walking his dog in the woods, and he said his dog, he was looking for antlers. It's a big thing out here, I guess. You know, deer winds up, and I don't know, it's weird to me, but yeah. So he's looking for antlers. So his dog went into this remote part of the woods, and he wanted to come out. And he goes, my dog always would come out. He goes, so I had to go fetch my dog. And he goes, and as soon as I went over, he was digging in the ground. And he goes, he thought it was remains of a cow. He said, because my son was big bone. He was a big kid. And then when he started seeing the clothing, because he was there for 2 years. I mean, there was a lot of water. There was a stream there. So he was embedded in the ground. And at that point in time, he goes, I bet you that this is the boy that they've been looking for. He got onto the phone with the sheriff, and I was notified right away. So I went out with one of the detectives that I was training, and I said, listen, I got to see it, man. I got to see it. I want to make sure that this body wasn't planted. I want to make sure it's my kid. They're like, Rick, all right. You know what I mean? Like, they work a little different around here, man. It's kind of like the old boys club out here, man. So, you know, Jersey or Philly, they would never do that. And I went out and, yeah, man, I verified it. And obviously I had to do the remains, you know, with the dental and everything like that. But I knew what he was wearing, and his gun was recovered. It was fully loaded, one in the chamber. You know, the clip was fully loaded. Jewelry. Like I said, they found 97% of his skeletal remains. And out of the 97% of what they found, they ruled out any foul play whatsoever. They said we would see lacerations if there was a stabbing or a shooting, and the only thing they deemed it as they tracked it and everything, from where he was hanging at was a place called the Peachtree Motel, and he would do a lot of security work for this guy. You know what I mean? And at any rate, from there to his mother's house, it was a beeline. You know what I mean? From point A to point B, and he probably went to a spot. You know what I mean? Sat down, maybe did a shot, did something. They figured out he probably leaned against the tree, took a nap, and just never woke up. And like I said, I got closure to it because, I mean, again, the stories that I heard, Asia, man, I can talk about it because I'm numb to it. And I used to, every day, my phone would be blowing up with some meth head talking a mile a minute. And I know they're on a sick one because I can hear it in their voice. But I got to listen to it, you know what I mean? Because there might be one piece of that missing puzzle that is going to put it all together. You know what I mean? They were clearing out, drainage units, garages, septic systems. I mean, they were wasting a lot of the taxpayers' monies on beat trails. You know what I mean? And the detective and the cops that I would talk to, they say, Rick, this is the weirdest thing. We've been here our whole life, and nothing like this ever happened. And, you know, we're basically giving people immunity if they have any clues on your son whatsoever. And he goes, I know snitches out there. $50, they would be out there with a pick and shovel showing me. Mm-hmm. And he goes, nothing's coming up. This is the strangest case ever. They just didn't find the right spot, man. It was this man walking his dog. And like I said, I believe God was God, man, because, I mean, if it was another 2 more months, man, who knows where I would have been.
Yeah.
So like I said, man, the grace of God saved me again numerous times. And without him, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm so sorry for the loss of your son. Excuse me. And I appreciate you, opening up and sharing that story, about him, speaking about
I need to. Because, here's the deal. Getting back, and I'm not throwing my plug in. I mean, obviously, this is about Strength Certified, my program, and things of that nature as well. I could care less about the money. If I'm able to reach another parent out there that might be going through a similar experience, that might be turning to drugs, alcohol, or some type of vice and trying to bury it instead of doing positive things in their life, that's what I'm trying to reach out to. Because there's better things than the alternative, man. You can have positive, and you might have other kids, man, that you got to take care of, and just that one incident could just bury the whole family. And you got to understand, man, God planned. Like I said, my father used to say, man plans, and God sits back and laughs because he already has it figured out. And so be it. But the fact of the matter is again, not everybody out there is built the same way. And again, like getting back to what you said, with my previous experiences as a kid and going through juvie and hardening me, I think it's allowed me to become a stronger individual in life so I can pass on the message as well.
Yeah. And you know what? Like while we're going through stuff, it doesn't always feel good, but like now, in your now, you can say, if I hadn't gone through that stuff, I may not be able to, be able to pick up and keep on going in my life. Sometimes people are not that strong, and one situation and one incident can shut a whole person down,
Down. You see it all the time. And, it's individuals like you and I that have been through the trials and tribulations and life experiences that can turn around and be that person that needs to be the one talking to the people out there, opposed to some dork that just read a book and got a degree and, hasn't been through it. I mean, ultimately, they have my ultimate goal through my program because it's basically a self-mastery program. I start with your mindset, your macros, and then into weight training. But I really want to open up a rehab facility here in Branson where we can start touching these folks that have, because it's an epidemic. I mean, as of last year, I don't know the statistics now, but they said 106,000 people die each year from alcohol and drug addictions. 106,000. And I know that statistic's higher. And it's just because of, again, big pharma out there is pushing stuff, fentanyl's out there. They got stuff out there that's eating away people's skin. I mean, I went to a facility where this person told me they had to hit him with Narcan 3 times. Like, you were dead 3 times. What made you go back? They just don't care. And here's the deal. I don't mean to cut you off, Asia.
All right.
But what they got to understand, it's a very selfish thing. It's a selfish thing to care about your drugs, your alcohol problem more than you care about your family and friends. Because that's what I try to tell the young ones out there, man. You got to be selfless, not selfish. Because that right there just shows me that you're a selfish individual and you're only caring about your feelings. And if you have an addiction problem, you should want to get help. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you said, you went to prison, you educated yourself. You know what I mean? You embedded yourself in the system. So when it was time to get out, Asa was a better person. You know what I mean? You did your time. Your time didn't do you.
But you know what? Like, I'm also someone that has experience with drugs and alcohol. And I never understood that because that was a part of my childhood. Like, that was an issue growing up. And I could never understand why, like, my mom couldn't get clean. That was one of the things that really hurt the most. And then when I became an adult and I started dibbling and dabbling in drugs, it was so hard to let go. But like, I had hit a space of, number one, I knew that if I kept going down that path, like I was going to die, and I didn't want my life to end. I didn't want that to be it for my life, and then more importantly, like, I didn't want, like, I felt like I was robbing my son, of having a mom, because like I was there physically, but I was not there mentally. Like, I wasn't there,
Right.
And so,
you weren't present
at all, at all. And
physically, yes. Mentally, no.
Yep. And it's like we have to get to a point where we want to do more, where we want to be free from that bondage. It's hard. It's definitely hard to break free from that. And
this has a grip on you. It has a grip, man. That's that devil, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's that devil, man, loving you. You know what I mean? Watching you self-destruct. That's what he wants you to do.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people also have out there, and I hear it all the time, like they try to say it's not a sickness, it's not a disease. You can't compare it to leukemia or cancer. No, you can't. But they have statistics. They have facts that how it affects your brain and your body chemistry, it becomes a disease. It does. Because I knew when my kid was on one, he didn't want to be on that. He hated it. But, to get off of it, they're sick to death. They don't want to feel that. They feel like they're dying. Yeah. Who wants to feel that? Nobody does. You know what I mean? The only way to fix it is, again, getting a fix. So,
and you know what? That's so true, because I don't mean to interrupt you, but I had gotten in a space of where because I was sick and tired of using, from the drinking to the drugs. I was in a space I'm tired of this, but when I would say I'm not going to use today, I would feel sick. And it's let me just go get a little bit, let me just go do a little bit, and it wasn't meth, but my choice of drug, it was still I was sick. And then in order to get up and get moving and try to do anything productive for the day, it's I got to get some drugs in here, or else I'm going to feel like crap,
You can't function.
Yeah.
For you to go to the store, you had to do something. And then since you went to the store and you got back, I got back from the store, so I can do a little more.
Yeah.
I get it. Trust me. My thing was alcohol. And like I said, man, I did everything besides, put a needle in my vein. Okay. And I remember my thing was going out to buy the little airplane bottles. You know what I mean? Because of that, when I see people in the store doing that, I'm like, oh, you need some help. You know what I mean? Because, you just bought 5 airplane bottles when you could just bought a 5th. But that's your justification, knowing that, all right, I'll be all right just drinking this 5 right here, and then I'll stop. Then 3 hours later, I go back to the same store to buy another 5. You know what I mean? And listen, like I said, I've been through it, and I get it, man. It's any addiction out there is tough. It really is. But you can find help.
Let me ask you this. So what was your turning point with the alcohol?
Man, I would say just rock bottom too many times, man. And age, I'm 55, and, it was just to the point where, you never know when enough's enough until you had enough. And that's what it came down to. And I was always somebody that led from the front. Now, when people start seeing you, and they can tell when you're sloppy, when you're drunk or this and that, I'd stay secluded. You know what I mean? But it wasn't the person I was born to be. And that was it. I was more disgusted with myself. And again, furthering my education. You know what I mean? I would attend different classes. Now, I wasn't doing it to appease the court system or get their signature for parole or probation. It was because I wanted to learn what my sickness was and why I was this way. And through education, I learned all kinds of things, codependency issues. You know what I mean? I found out that I'm not a narcissist, that I'm not a manic depressant, that I'm not this, I'm not that. Things that I was called, throughout my life. You know what I mean? It helped a lot. Let's put it that way. Because I'm a very compassionate person, but I teach with compression. You know what I mean? I'm somebody. I'm gonna be real to you. I'm gonna scare you straight, but I'm gonna do it with love. I'm gonna give you a hug afterwards. You know what I mean? And whisper in your ear. But
that's
I'm not
good.
individual. Yeah. Well, some people, that's all they know. All they know is violence, man. And if you don't come at them in an aggressive way, it's they don't know how to take that passiveness. They don't, and I didn't. Yeah. Honestly, until I bumped in the West. There was a few coaches out there, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wise, only one, Dustin Dennis, that I resonated the most with because he was just a psychopath. You know what I mean? And I swear Wes is a sociopath, man. I love him to death. Yeah. The guy's making close to $3 million a month. And like I said, he saved my life numerous times. But you talk about, man, check out some of his stuff. Wes Watson. He's an intense individual. He is intense, man. But I love him. I
Yeah.
resonate with him, man. I mean, I gave him 7K, you know what I mean, into his program because I knew I was going to get that 7K back, which I did. You know what I mean? And it just helped me along in life. So like I said, there's things out there that you can take advantage of if it's education, if it's somebody you resonate, do your research. I mean, I watched him for years before I dropped that cash. You know what I mean? And I watched this guy blow up. And same thing, he was incarcerated for 10 years. And then within 3 years, he was a millionaire. And now, 5.5 years into it, he's making close to $3 million a month.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So, like I said, that just shows you anything is possible. And he says it. He says, he calls himself and I'm not going to say a dumb, a dumb butt. You know what I mean? And he goes, if a dumb butt like me can do it, why can't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it keeps it real. That's it. If you just keep it real, that's what people want. They want genuine people.
Authenticity.
That's it, man. That's why this is going to succeed, Asia.
Oh.
You're going to be a success. You're probably already one right now. You know what I mean? I didn't do any research, but I see it in your smile, girl. So you're shining and you're doing good stuff right now. Just, you got to keep on reminding yourself that too, that you're changing lives on a daily basis.
Oh, I appreciate that. And you know what? I appreciate people like you. Like, number one, I love doing this because number one, God, gave me this platform. Number two,
right. That's right.
I get to meet so many people that are like me, but different in so many ways. And when I say that, I mean like people that have actually been through stuff, and don't mind like telling their stories, don't mind being put on the table, for exposure, like, and not in a bad light, but to say, I've overcome this, and this. Anything's possible, Don't quit, just keep going. Like, if nobody's told you, I'm very proud of you. Like, just from the way that you grew up to juvenile, to prison, to, losing your son, and you're still here and standing strong though, like standing super strong. Everybody has a story to share, and too many people are scared to do that.
Who you scared of? Again, time on this planet is limited, man. Share your story because again, I know everybody's story can share a life, save a life. You know what I mean? So why are you holding back? And again, this is what people want to hear. They want authentic, genuine content. That's why reality TV shows work. You know what I mean? People don't want to see scripted stuff. They want to hear that person that's spitting all over the camera, messing up their words and making a fool out of themselves, man, because that's what gets us laughing. You know what I mean? It's real.
Because it shows that we're human. It shows that we're human,
That's it. And if people would just realize, man, and I tell people all the time, man, I take life seriously, but I'm not serious about life.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I mean? Because you got to have fun, man. Like, I mean, I can do it. I can get in front of that person and intimidate the living heck out of them and crack a smile and just joke with them, man. It's like, I got you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just have fun, man. Life's too short. Why wouldn't you want to have fun? Yeah. Why do you want to be negative when you have the choice to be positive? Again, if you can just embrace somebody and make that person's life better, because again, and you hear it all the time, you do not know what that person's going through. You know what I mean? You might get a little salty on how they're coming at you, man. Well, guess what? Serve them with a smile, man. Ask them if you can help them. Instead of getting mad back. Fire against fire doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, embrace each other, man. Ask that person what's going on. You know what I mean? Kick back. You got 5 minutes, don't you? You got 10 minutes. You got a half an hour. Listen to that person. You might save their life. They could have been, on the way back to hang themselves or commit suicide, and just by talking to them, you saved their life. You don't know that. So take the time, man, and just, show some love.
Absolutely. It makes a world of difference. And like you said, you never know what somebody is going through. Like, some of the people that appear the most happiest are going through some of the most horrific things, A lot of people don't feel, that they have a safe space where they can voice what they're going through without being judged, or, a lot of people are still being haunted by the things that happened to them as kids, and, and those things come back to haunt them in their, adult lives, and it's just replaying in their minds. And so that smile or that hi, how are you today, or how you doing, that can change a person's whole everything,
Just a smile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You walk in with a smile, man. You're breaking down the barriers.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And if you want to grin back at me and give me some mean mug, man, I'll pat you on the back, man. And, I hope you're having a better day, my man. Right. You know what I mean? I hope you have a better day.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because you know what, when you go through some stuff and you get through it, you understand like life happens, and it's just like, I know what it's like I've had so many days where I'm like, yo, and so now I can handle people and deal with people from a place of empathy. I know it's hard, and I'm not even going to take, another big thing is not taking things personally, when people, overreact, or when people say that one smart thing, just don't even take it personal. Look at all the
you get 100 good comments, and then that one comment right there is going to ruin your whole day.
Yeah, ruin your whole day.
Yeah. I mean, you know it. I'm like, he said what? You know what I mean? Yeah. Man, you got 99 good comments. You got one bad one, man. Delete that fool. Get him off your page. Yeah. You don't got no place for that individual. Or, DM him, man. You all right? Yeah. You good, man. Why did you come at me that way? Did I offend you? Mm-hmm. What did I do? You know what I mean? Like, break down the barrier, man. Maybe that cat's going through something that needs to be heard. You know what I mean? And again, people want to catch feelings, man. Well, that person's probably going through something right now. That's why they're coming at you in that direction.
Absolutely.
Because they want to pass on that hate to you. They want you to feel that. They want that negativity to settle in. And you know what? If you allow it to happen, which the majority of the people do, they won. They won. You won. You know what I mean? I got 99 wins. You gave me one loss, and now I lost.
Yep.
Just stacking wins on a daily basis. And again, that's what I tell people every day, man. Just be grateful. When you wake up, that's a win. Mm-hmm. When you eat breakfast, that's a win. If you get a workout in, that's a win. When you go to work, that's a win. So by noon, you chalked up a half a dozen wins. Yep. And what you're doing is you're basically creating your mind that you're a winner. That's it. Every one of us are winners out there. Absolutely. You just choose not to be.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Rick. This is the last one. What is it that you do now, and how can people find you if they want to work with you?
I had a lot when COVID hit. I was coming up with my system, and unfortunately, it was my fault. I let the name go. So when it comes down to algorithms and things of that nature, people are having a hard time finding my YouTube station, which is Strength Certified with an S. So it's Strength Certified with an S. But if they look up my name or Google me, Rick Koenig, that's RickKoenig. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. And then on YouTube, it's Strength Certified. Okay. Not saying it's going to be easy, because like I said, I mean, it was my fault. I was building the brand for 7 years, and my name went up in June. My financial partner didn't bring it to my attention, and then somebody from China bought it and wants like $50,000 for it now. I'm like, come on, man. So I had to put a dash for my website. It's strength-certified.com. Again, certified with an S. You'll pull up my landing page. I got some of my programs up there. All they have to do is click the link. I'll give them a non-obligation consultation call. See if we find something that works for you. If so, great. If not, I'm cool with that as well.
And just in case we didn't talk enough about what it is that you offer, the services that you offer, what exactly is it that you offer?
Man, a lot of mindset training, like we were just talking about, self-mastery. I want to create you to be the best individual you can be in life. And it has to start with this first. Again, PMA all day, positive mental attitude all day. And what I do is, we just start off with some, I call them non-negotiable tasks every day. I want you to wake up early because you're going to get more done. People sleep in to get depressed. And honestly, I believe getting up at an ungodly hour is one of the most greatest forms of showing your God gratitude that you're going to crawl out of that bed and get to work. Because most people wake up inherently negative. I wake up, yeah, I might be negative, but as soon as I crank out 50 push-ups, I'm already on the ground. I'm on my knees. I pray. There you go. I got 2 wins. You know what I mean? I get up, get my workout in, 3 wins. Come back, get my breakfast. You know what I mean? So self-mastery, that's what I teach, and weight training. So we can combine the combination of it, you know, because of the answer is within. And a lot of people don't realize, you know, people getting older, the reason why they're all decrepit is because of they never did any type of, you know, even grip training. You don't have to go out there and kill the gym. I'm not here to annihilate you. I'm here to stimulate you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just body in motion. And then you got to get that mind in motion as well. Because you'll lose that just quicker than you'll lose that muscle.
Absolutely. You know, that's so good. I hope so many people blow up your website and be like, I want to work with Rick.
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I appreciate you coming on here today and sharing your story with us. And like, keep doing what you're doing. You know, keep shouting from the mountaintops, you know, and just keep sharing your story and keep, you know, just motivating other people and just keep going forward. You know, greatness is on the horizon.
Well, I thank you for having me and helping me here too. And like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing you succeed even more. Oh, if you already succeeded, you're just going to take it to another level. So remember me. Remember me, all right?
I sure will.
Don't forget me. Don't forget about us little guys.
I would never. You know what? One of these days I might buy me a flight and come out there so I can see the gym.
How old is now? You said you have a son or a daughter. I'm sorry.
I have a son. He's 7.
He's 7. Let me tell you something. If you want to come out here, I'll put you in a timeshare condo for free. I'll hook you up with tickets. They have amazing amusement parks out here, water parks. Like I said, I'll throw you in a beautiful condo with a jacuzzi in it. And so if you want to take me up on that, hit me up. Bring your son out here. You would have a blast.
Oh, I'm coming.
You would have a blast. Look it up. Look up Branson, Missouri, and you'll see. I mean, it's a hokey town, but even like we were talking about by no cuss words. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the Bible Belt. That's why when I came out here, they kind of freaked out because I think we have more churches per square mile than any other town. Yeah. I mean, it is the Bible Belt, man, which is not a bad thing. When you talked about, man, I was the sore thumb in the crowd, man. So, but I've been here 14 years. They learned that I'm not going nowhere.
It's okay. I sure will. I'll come up there. I love, you know, meeting new people and stuff like that, you know, and seeing how things are different in different areas, you know.
Just smile. Keep that beautiful smile on. And that's what people look for. You know what I mean? You see too many people out there with that mean mug on their face. And it's like, really? Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Really, man? You know, talk to me. So.
And you know what? One thing that I keep in mind is how far God has brought me from, you know, how God has chosen me to be a part of my life. You know, how can I not smile? You know, I could be dead, I could be gone, I could be in jail, I could be in prison, I could be somewhere not in my right mind, you know?
Right.
And even after all that, like I have the activity of my limbs, I'm healthy, I'm happy, you know?
Yeah. That's it. And that's good that you have that mentality right there. That means a lot. I tell people all the time, when you start nagging yourself out, think of your worst of times. Mm-hmm. And think of where you're at right now. And when you're thinking of good things, think how better they're going to get with that mentality. Reach for the stars, man. You know what I mean? What's going to happen? You're going to grab a few clouds on the way down?
I know that's right.
That's
I
right,
like
man.
that.
You might as well.
Yeah. It's worth a shot. Yeah. I really like that. So thank you guys so much once again for joining us on Let the Healing Begin podcast. A couple ways to support. You can head over to www.greatergrowthllc.com, purchase a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. You can also head over to Amazon and purchase a copy of Back in My Day by Asia Wilson. And then you can also check out our link tree to check out our life skills program or the mentoring services that we now have available. Thank you so much. And until next time.